Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our Yellowstone Season 3, Episode 8 reaction. We're heading back to the ranch, which, Yellowstone's a weird show because they have all these, idyllic places that are so beautiful and cool to look at. And then you have, terrible things happening, like people getting trampled in the water.
Everywhere. The terrible things are happening everywhere in this episode.
Yeah. Let's not even think about all the bikers who were threatened and this is a brutal show. It's the brutal season. There's a lot going on here and pretty big surprise in those closing minutes as well.
Spoilers ahead.
Well, before we get into discussing episode 8, if you guys do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you can support us further by checking that link in the description to the store and also our Patreon, where we have live chats at the end of every month if you're interested in checking that out.
Okay, let's talk about Colby and Teeter because they may not be main characters,
Yeah.
but we've all grown to love them. So that was really a really rough scene tonight. I mean, that moment where she was like, I'm taking all this off and I'm going into the water. And he's like, nope, I'm driving off to watch him circle back around being like, I can't even believe I'm doing this. I'm like, yes, I don't know why I'm rooting for these two, but I am. It felt like it was gonna happen at some point. And then it all just went south.
What?
Really south. So south that I mean, we didn't see bodies, so maybe no body, no death, but I don't know, man. This show isn't afraid to really do stuff like this where we would lose someone like them.
I am just gonna live in delusion that they're okay. It's probably gonna be another one of these things where John Dutton has to visit them in the hospital, and with Jimmy earlier this season, he was like, "No more rodeo. I'm not paying your bills next time."
Yeah.
Is he gonna be like, "No more dipping in the water where people can trample you"? I don't know how you deal with that situation, but
yeah, especially since this is some sort of rivalry that's been going on and on and on and on.
I will say, when it comes to the Colby and Teeter relationship, they're so weird.
I know.
I like them because they're so weird.
Yep.
I grew up in the South, and so there's always this proclivity that, oh, I must have seen or met someone like Teeter. I'm not really altogether sure that I have. I've met maybe 50% Teeter, but this is she's so backwoods and aggressive, and I can't understand what she says half of the time.
She is such a good character, such a good character that I am going to be really sad if they actually got trampled and they're gone.
Well, this is my reason for hope. It's like those jerkwads who came in to do the trampling, they were they're sending a message. If you kill them, there's no message to send, right?
Or it's a worse message, which is we're gonna kill you and everyone on your staff.
Yeah, that's not great either. This is not a good situation for the bunkhouse right now in general, because you have the trampling, then you've got Walker sort of showing back up, and that's not great for Rip. That's gonna cause a Rip, pun intended, in the Rip-Kayce relationship.
So just for everyone to give us all sort of a reminder here of where Walker was. Walker used to work in the bunkhouse. He did not want to participate in any of the illegal shenanigans that were going on. He kept wanting to leave. Finally, he was given a trip to the train station, where normally you don't ever see a train. You just go off a cliff and you're done. But he was let go. So it was a big surprise for Rip and Lloyd to see him singing in the bar. And it was actually a surprise for me too, because with him having this second chance where it was kind of like, we better never see you around here again, it was surprising that they saw him around here again. I would have been as far away as possible so I never run into anyone ever again.
I'm going to list off a number of suggested places that Walker could have gone. Vermont, Southern California. He can go to Alaska, where all those other TV characters go when they try to escape everything that happened to them.
How about Canada?
He can go to Belize, like it was discussed on Breaking Bad. Canada's actually close by. there are approximately 1 trillion places that would have been better for Walker than the place he showed up in.
Yeah, then driving distance from the ranch.
Yeah, it's like Wyoming and Montana. These are not the most populous states. I know there's still a lot of people because there's a lot of people almost everywhere, but it just felt like the bunkhouse guys, they're gonna drink. It's not like he would be at if he had said, okay, I'm gonna go, like, what's the most opposite place that we would see a bunkhouse guy? He's not a CPA working in an office building here.
And I'm really curious to see how Lloyd and Rip are going to deal with this, because they are on the other side that have no problem taking somebody to the train station.
Yeah.
So knowing that, Walker was supposed to be taken to the train station and he wasn't, I'm also wondering how that's all going to kind of fall, because that means that the job that was supposed to be done wasn't. And then on top of it, Walker knows a lot, like a lot. There's a reason why people get a trip to the train station. And now there's this guy who's out there who knows a lot, who's still alive, who's within driving distance from Yellowstone, whether it's 5 hours, 6 hours, 2 hours. He is way too close for comfort. So I don't know how this is going to go, but I don't really see Walker making it out of this season alive. He just can't.
I know one thing. This is going to be a very awkward wedding at the moment, because I'm pretty sure Rip these are fighting words for Rip, and Kayce's out there, and this is kind of an interesting episode when it comes to Kayce's lies, where he has everything he kept from Monica, and then we kind of come full circle, and at the end of the episode we're bringing back a notorious lie from season 2 that he took care of this guy.
Yeah, the two of them and the lying that's going on, where Monica was finally like, listen, if I'm going to be in this relationship and I have to put up with your lies, I am also going to be lying about stuff, and that is just the way that it's going to have to be. It's not going to be, and I like that about her in a lot of ways, where she's not just going to put up with it. That if it's like, okay, this is the parameters of our relationship, you're going to do this kind of stuff, I want to do some dangerous stuff as well, and I'm going to be this honey trap and try to help capture some people or kill some people who are hurting women out there. That whole scene, man, when they were all blowing the whistle and finding remains, was killing me. It was awful. So I understand why she felt that she needed to be a honey trap to get this together. And even though she felt bad about this man dying, she knew she did the right thing. And that scene with the two of them talking at the end, where he's saying, listen, I don't tell you these things and I lie about these things because I want you to see me in a positive light. I don't want you to look at me and be like, oh man, I am married to a killer or a person who's going to do these terrible things. Then now she can be like, okay, we are the same. Our lives are better because these people aren't around.
It's an interesting sort of plurality that the two of them have, where they both seem to think that this is the way that they can communicate and they can sort of handle this. I don't know long term if that's going to work for them, but
probably not.
I think for now, it at least, I guess, worked enough. I'll be honest. I thought Monica was going to die in this episode, at least not so much while watching it, but in the early going. The title of it, I think, was I Killed a Man Today, and she was like seen running in the previews. I was sort of thinking, okay, Monica may be dying, and then Kayce may have gone and killed somebody.
That's what I thought we were going with. So it was nice to have a twist.
It's nice to have a twist. It's nice to know that she is alive. It's nice to also at least wrap up one Yellowstone storyline that's going on, because I feel like there are like 8 others that we don't really have any closure on, including Jamie being adopted, which was just not even addressed at all in this episode, really.
Yeah, it was really weird, because he had this moment where he talked to Kayce and he's like, can I still call you brother? And I was like, okay, well, where was the conversation where they all learned that he's adopted? Was it even about that? Maybe it was about what was going on with what Jamie did to Beth, and then Kayce's, the sort of like, you would still want to call me brother after what I did to Beth? Like, I don't know what happened there. They did just kind of skate all over that, and now Jamie's just kind of back to normal.
It is so that was a little bit weird, and it
was.
Sounds like maybe based on the synopsis for next episode that we might be picking it back up, but it is kind of odd that it's just sort of like, okay, we're not going to deal too much with this now. The storyline that I think is the most divisive by far, though, on season 3 is you bring in Josh Holloway,
amazing,
who we know is great. And then you proceed to give Josh Holloway approximately 2 minutes of screen time in every episode in this story about, I think it's called Market Equities. The name is so boring I can barely ever remember it, but it just feels like that has dragged so slowly, and we only have 2 episodes left this season now.
Yeah, and it hurts me to say this because I love Josh and I love Lost. And when I saw he was coming on the show, I was like, this is going to be so great. Yeah. But then when I sort of figured out what the storyline was going to be, that it's sort of the same storyline that's been going on for all 3 seasons where city folk are coming in to take the country folks' land. I was like, oh man, again, we're having this story again, except now it's Josh instead of, someone else, yeah. Dan from a couple seasons ago. Like it's the same storyline, which is kind of why I'm wondering if that storyline is sputtering out a bit, because they've already done this storyline. The only real big difference right now is that John has been offered $500 million to give up his land, yeah. And he is still saying no.
Yeah, he put the kibosh on that really, really fast. Like, he didn't even really think about it.
No.
And someday I hope to have the level of stubbornness and fortitude because if somebody offered me $500 million,
it'd be hard to say no.
Yeah, I feel like I would at least think about it longer than like the 2 seconds that John seemed to think about it.
Especially since Beth really laid it out to let him know, yeah. That he is going to lose this ranch anyways, and that there isn't another way, because he really believes in her that she is going to find another way. And she said straight up, there is no other way. There is no other way. And he's like, no, there's always another way. I think for me, I just wish that they had not brought this story in this season.
Yeah.
Maybe next season. And this season, the stuff that I've been actually enjoying the most is some of the stuff with learning about the horses and the ranching and the different, even just the story of the horse, the wild horse, yeah. Who's now back in the wild again. I am more invested in that than what is going on with this Josh Holloway story. And because I'm from Canada, I don't really know anything about ranching or anything like that. I'm from Toronto. This is really cool for me. I never thought that I'd be into a show like this, but I am so into this show. I wanted this season to be more about getting to know everybody, getting really into the Beth and Rip storyline and their romance, because I love that. Sort of even the stuff with the adoption and having that be a storyline. Learning what happened between Beth and Jamie finally, that storyline, everything in the bunkhouse and what's happened to Jimmy. This stuff is so good that you don't actually need this sort of big bad Josh Holloway coming up and trying to take the land.
I do think that now, going into the season, I was excited about this, but now that I'm sort of thinking it through, I think you're probably right. I would have been fine if they just sort of took this, moved it into season 4. I mean, maybe they're stretching Josh Holloway into season 4 and we're not going to get a conclusion to this. I don't know. But yeah, I think you could certainly expand a lot of these other things that we're seeing because they are good and they are interesting. And right now, I think the main story of the season is probably the worst part of the season.
Yeah, this show has really worked its way, this season specifically, into being more about the characters and about this crew that's working in the bunkhouse and the family and how everybody's sort of working together and ranching and how that works, and even just the different positions that the Duttons are now in, these different positions in the offices and stuff like that. This season has been powerful because of those storylines.
I will say the number one thing that is my pet peeve about this episode, and this is my pet peeve in all TV now in general, is when Rourke gets the call and he's having the conversation
I knew you
and then he chucks the computer. It is like, Rourke, I know you have like $1 bazillion. You gonna get a replacement for that computer in the middle of nowhere really fast? Unless you have backup computers because you know you have this sort of rage problem. What are you doing, man? I know it's dramatic. I know as an actor, it's probably really fun to do. I would want to throw fake stuff, but aren't there like rage rooms you can go to do this in?
I knew you were gonna see that and be like, come on, man, Matt just hates that to watch them like destroy stuff.
It is. Nobody does this in real life.
It's rare.
Okay, well, anyway, it's a really good episode. We've got a couple more left. We'll see where things go. But for you guys, what did you think about Yellowstone Season 3, Episode 8? Where do you think they're going with Walker, with Rourke, with all of these other stories? Let us know in the comments. And if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and you can support us further by checking the links in the description to the store, to our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.